What's up? What's going on? 2 pods in 2 days. How about that?
The energy. I have the energy. I have the Kevin Warren nonstop energy vibe going.
No, I don't think you do.
That's a lie.
You may have been up at 4 o'clock as well, but for different reasons. Not to work out and, stare at the George Halas statue. You're, hanging out with a baby probably.
Literally just fed a baby a bottle like 30 minutes ago. Couple good burps. Poured myself a coffee. Let's talk some Bears.
Right back at it. Love it. Fun episode for you. I hope everybody enjoyed yesterday's episode. It's been crazy week, quite frankly. But if you missed it for any reason, go back and check it out. We had a bunch of the sound from the Kevin Warren press conference and breaking it down and reacting. So a lot of good conversation in there. Today we thought we'd do a Q&A with you guys. So we got a bunch of questions from Twitter that we're going to go over and then pick these games for the weekend and hopefully maybe take a breather and watch some football, which would be
good
nice.
Football.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. So a little bit of news, though, we wanted to discuss off the top. I got to say, when we talked to Ryan Poles on Tuesday, he seemed like really prepared for the possibility that Ian Cunningham might be gone, his assistant general manager. And then it was only like 3 hours later that the Titans hired Rand Carthon instead. And it was like, okay, Ian's not going anywhere. So
good for the Bears, yeah.
I wonder if that was literally going on as all of that was playing out with the Titans trying, because it was
he's in the Kevin Warren press conference checking his phone to make sure that his assistant GM is staying put.
If I remember right, it was during the press conference that Mike Garafolo tweeted out that Ian Cunningham was getting a second interview.
Yeah.
And then 3 hours later, they just hired Rand Carthon from the 49ers. So anyway, it's good news for the Bears because it sure sounds like Ian Cunningham's going to be sticking around for what is a very crucial and big offseason. Because the only 2 GM jobs that were open were the Cardinals and Titans, and they're both filled.
Yeah, and I thought the Titans was a unique job because you're basically, Mike Vrabel's the football boss there in a sense, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't necessarily know the structure and how they.
But you're inheriting a coach that's very successful in. If you read some of the reports down there, won his power struggle with the former GM, who was fired mid-season this year.
Yeah, and it was weird because they're not a horrible team. They're right there in the playoff mix, and you're just firing a GM right in the middle of the year. It was somewhat odd. So usually when that happens, there's some type of power struggle, and so I'm sure Mike Vrabel had a lot to say about that hire. But it's not Ian Cunningham. And but I still thought it was interesting what Poles said, because he said, look, when we hired him, I didn't think he'd be here long. And I already have a plan in place for when he gets a job, because he's going to get a job. It's I didn't necessarily think it'd be this fast, but he's going to be getting a job soon. So it does sound like the Bears will get Ian Cunningham for at least one more year, though.
Don't forget that the Bears had Joe Douglas.
Yep.
People forget that Joe Douglas worked for Ryan Pace before Joe Douglas left and eventually became the New York Jets general manager.
Mm-hmm. And then he drafted Zach Wilson over.
Yeah. But with Ian Cunningham, it's he's a black assistant general manager. If he leaves, the Bears get draft compensation, but he has to be here for 2 full seasons. That's the league rule, is it not?
Oh, I didn't even know that part, to be honest. I just assumed that they would get it. So
no, 2 years.
So if he left, the Bears wouldn't have gotten anything.
Correct.
Oh, that's even bigger. Because isn't that 2 third-round picks?
I'm not sure what the total draft compensation is, but I do know it's 2 years on staff.
Interesting. So, well, that's definitely notable. But as the Bears start prepping for all this stuff and, head into East-West Shrine games and Senior Bowls, and that's the other news. Luke Getsy's going to be the head coach of one of the Senior Bowl teams, which is interesting. They've switched this up. They're trying to make the East-West Shrine game matter more, I think, but it's weird because now there's a crossover between the 2 games in the same week, and it kind of actually makes it difficult for these teams having to split up their staffs, I guess, but they're alternating years in which teams have full staffs coaching these games versus mixed staffs. So this year, the Patriots and Falcons are coaching the East-West Shrine game, and at the Senior Bowl, it's a mix of all types of assistant coaches from all over the league, and that is why Luke Getsy, the Bears' offensive coordinator, is the head coach of one of the teams. But still an advantage for the Bears, still a good opportunity for them, and maybe they send more people down than they normally would, whatever. Well, I guess we'll find that out in the next couple weeks, but good opportunity for Luke Getsy, good opportunity for the Bears.
For a team that needs offensive tackles, offensive guards, and a center. Is that all? Is that the entire offensive line there? Help at wide receiver, maybe another running back.
Maybe
having
another tight end.
Yeah.
Maybe a backup quarterback.
All of the above. Got all of the above. Check that. All of the above.
Yeah.
Option E. It helps to have your offensive coordinator, like your chief offensive mind in the building, like coaching that entire team. You get a good vibe, not only for their skills, but for their personalities. And it's a great opportunity for him. I know some Bears fans kind of roll their eyes at him being head coaching candidate, but we're not like making this up. The vibe on him coming in is he's got the charisma, can handle the room. He's a very good coach, good with quarterbacks. Like that's all attributes that teams like in head coaches. He had that vibe coming in. That was from league contacts all over. And now this is a great opportunity for him to actually take over the team.
What do you remember about the last time the Bears coached the Senior Bowl, which was 2017? Somewhere in the archives, there's some podcasts that we have from Mobile, Alabama from that week. And our guy, John Fox.
I'm not an offense coordinator. I'm not a defense coordinator. I'm not a special teams coordinator, but I coordinate all three.
I just I think like the front office was just kind of ecstatic after like having that opportunity. But I just remember like John Fox loathing the idea and not like enjoying himself in any shape or form down there. And he gave off that vibe like in interviews. I remember like running across there was some giant convention center hotel / thing, whatever, and like running to talk to the Bear staff. And John Fox had like just no interest in wanting to be there and talking.
No, he's players. Like, I want to be on Marco Island right now in my boat.
I mean, I can't answer that. I mean, it's like, I don't know, horse racing.
but like that's what I remember is like Ryan Pace and his crew wanted to be there, but John Fox had zero to no interest in wanting to coach college players.
I just love that they look. I know the draft board is set up the way it is, and you take the best player there, and of course they made the trades that they did. That was the year they took Mitch Trubisky, so they lost some draft picks after making that trade. And at the end of the day, they had 5 picks, only one of which was from the Senior Bowl. Jordan Morgan. They literally, I should bring up Potsy's tweet from yesterday because he had a list of all the players that they coach, which included Cooper Kupp, right? And they didn't draft any of them. So
I'm looking at the rosters. Nathan Peterman was one of the quarterbacks. This is who they coached. CJ Beathard, Nathan Peterman. I'm just throwing out some notable names. Zay Jones, Cooper Kupp, Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
Who else do we have here?
Hassan Reddick. Larry Ogunjobi.
Vince Beagle, linebacker.
Badger.
Jordan Lewis, Michigan. Remember, he was pretty good.
Zay Jones.
Yeah, I mentioned Zay Jones. Jaleel Johnson. Larry Ogunjobi, yeah, he was there.
Yeah.
Good call. Good pull. Dan Feeney.
They got Jordan Morgan, though.
Mm-hmm.
Never forget.
There's some unfamiliarity or infamiliarity, whatever that word is, non-familiar.
Didn't want to be there.
Good times. Good times. I don't know. Did we even want to be there? I'm not sure.
You know what? Mobile grew on me over the years.
It did, but I think that's the last time I've been there. Because I started going to the Super Bowl instead, and that's just a lot to be gone for basically 2 weeks.
I was doing both at that time. It's funny covering this sport. Like they don't prepare you for some things you have to learn, like boozing and schmoozing in Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah.
Like, I know my way around Mobile. I know my way around Indianapolis quite well. I never get lost in that massive Indiana Convention Center.
No,
Probably, it's
that's like a home for us.
Yes.
Know every little corner and way to get around downtown Indy.
Where like the secret bathrooms are.
Yes.
In the big place, if you want a little privacy.
See, Mobile's changed though. I don't even know what it's like down there. It's in a new stadium.
It's true.
I don't even know if it's located in the same spot. It's been so long. I will say, I'm an old-fashioned guy. I drink old fashions. I had the best old-fashioned. I still consider it the best old-fashioned I've ever had.
Yeah, it's not at Veets though.
No, definitely not at Veets. I don't even know if they make old fashions.
Veets is a dive bar where all sorts of NFL types hang out at across.
Probably where COVID started.
Amongst other pandemics.
Yeah. No, remember there was like a new side, like down one side street from Veets. There was like some bar we discovered. It was probably that year. And it was like weirdly classy. Not the hotel one, but like there was another one. I forget what it's called. Anyway, I ordered the old fashioned there and it was like, still, I can consider it the best one. So I don't know if I'm going down to Mobile. If I am, I'll have to find that old fashioned.
All right. Fishman will be there for us.
All right. You want to kick us off with some of these questions that you solicited?
Yes. Let's start with the football questions. And let's start with, I kind of have draft here first, but free agency becomes before that. So let's start with that. This is from Tony on Twitter. Would you rather sign a left tackle in free agency or draft one in the first round after trading back?
That's a good question. I think I'd rather sign one.
Correct. I agree.
I'd rather have, just even look what Jason Peters did last year for the Bears. I mean, you want more.
Just played in the playoff game the other day. Didn't finish it, but he was in it.
He didn't finish it, but the point is like you just knew what you were going to get. Now, you want somebody that has more longevity than that, right? No one's out here saying sign a 40-year-old left tackle. But you saw the growing pains. Granted, Braxton Jones was a fifth-round pick, not a first-round pick. But even some of these first-rounders, you look around the league, they take a while. They're not perfect as rookies. So I would prefer not to use my first-round pick on an offensive tackle. Ideally get one of these superstar defensive guys, right? And sign. I think the perfect scenario, and I don't know if Braxton Jones can move to right tackle, but he sure seems to have the capability of playing in this league. So if you can sign a stud left tackle, lock it down over there, move Braxton Jones over to the right side, then use your first round pick on a different position, I think that's the perfect scenario.
Well, I think that discussion probably starts and ends with Orlando Brown.
Yeah.
Does it not? Ryan Poles should be very familiar with him after the Chiefs acquired him from the Ravens. He's been the Chiefs starting left tackle since. And he's the youngest left tackle on the market. 27 years old. I don't think he's even 27 years older yet.
Yeah, he's going to get a good payday. The Bears have the money, man. That's money well spent to me.
So now you have Orlando Brown at left tackle. You move Braxton Jones to right tackle. Tevin Jenkins at right guard. Starting to create something there. That's probably a little bit better than you started with last year.
Do you think there's any chance Riley Reef comes back?
They love the guy, the sheriff.
Yeah, they seem to, and he remember he started the year as their swing guard or swing tackle. They just needed to play him. So, I feel like if he comes back as the swing tackle again, then maybe on a similar contract with incentives. They seem to like him a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, beyond the actual play. One of those coach in the locker room type of players.
Right. It's something maybe to keep an eye on.
Like
too.
mentioned specifically by Ryan Poles in a season-ending press conference.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Question
All right.
2. Ready?
Yep.
What are your thoughts on Orlando Brown? We just mentioned him. Darren Payne, Javon Hargrave, and Jacoby Myers. I would sign all 4 of them. This is from Mark on Twitter.
Wow.
See, I think your decision is
Hargrave and Payne.
well. I don't think if you listen to Ryan Poles' season-ending press conference, you could hear him basically tell everybody they're going to be very. What's the word I'm looking for here?
Methodical.
They're not going to. Yeah, methodical. They're not going to break the bank in every single free agent. They have the money, but they're not going to do that. I think they have to repay some of their own guys as well. I think it comes down to one big off-season signing. So I think it's either going to be Brown or Payne if he hits the market, because it's a left tackle and it's a 3 technique. 2 positions, Ryan Poles is not only going to covet, but value significantly going to this offseason for his team.
I could speak to Jacoby Myers. I like Jacoby Myers a lot. I think he's to me, he fits a lot of what the Bears want, like in the locker room. Like the Patriots love him. And he's a great story. 6'2", 200 pounds, still only 26 years old, just turned 26 recently. So, but you're also got to be realistic. You're not signing, a guy who's going to get you 100 catches.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much room there is. And that's a big question I have, John's. Like, are they going to spend big on a wide receiver, or are they just going to kind of keep patching this together with a bunch of different options?
All right, so here's another good question for Mike. If the Bears were able to trade for Mike Evans, DeAndre Hopkins, or Devontae Adams, what would the cost be for each? And I'll add something. Like, would you do it? Like, what's your limit? What's your price point, as some executives would say?
Well, Devontae Adams, believe it or not, is like already 30 years old. But to me, he seems to be at I think you're getting a better chance that he's going to continue to be dominant for probably at least 3 more seasons.
DeAndre Hopkins is 30 years old.
Right, but he's, to me, starting to come down a little bit. Whereas
his numbers are good when he played.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't like that you're getting suspended for PEDs and all that. But I've actually talked about, I want to be clear on Hopkins. I'm not against it. I kind of like the idea, to be honest with you. Because if you look at Hopkins' contract, it's like there's not a lot of guaranteed money on it. $19 million this coming year. You have the cash and the cap space to fit that in, and there's not a whole lot of, it's not going to cost you 2 or 3 years from now. It's not going to put you in a bind financially. Also, he's going to cost less.
Yeah,
like Devontae Adams is going to require a haul. I don't know, is 3rd round pick for Hopkins? Something like that. Like,
draft name.
To me, that makes sense. Doesn't kill you if he doesn't, if he continues to decline, you can live with it. Now here's the problem though. He has a no trade clause. And is he going to demand that he gets an extension or more money to get traded? That's the big question.
Mike Evans is 29. So he'll be 30 next year. He only has 1 more year remaining in his contract. Looking at the numbers, the cap hit, at least for the Buccaneers, is over $23 million, nearly $24 million in 2023. So I would imagine he is a potential something for a team who wants to acquire a receiver, for a Buccaneers team that has quarterback situation in flux and seems on the verge of finally retooling after the Tom Brady era.
Yeah. I mean, Who knows what's going on there? They fired Byron Leftwich this morning.
Exactly. I generally like the idea, and I would say I believe if you're going to make a serious splash at receiver, it's got to come through the trade market. And I like the idea of giving Justin Fields that like legitimate star, even if it's Mike Evans, whose star is fading a little bit. Like, oh, it's a proven receiver, even if it's just for a year.
Yeah.
Just to help Justin Fields' development in the passing game. To give him that guy when he knows he's in trouble and he sees a blitz coming, that he could just put it out there, and that receiver is going to help him make that catch.
Yeah, and even if they're just, out there, they're going to command attention, and now it's easier for Mooney to get open, and now it's easier for Claypool to get open. All of a sudden, you're not asking Claypool to be a 1, which I think you need to figure out how to do. And then maybe you add a guy like Jacoby Myers in there, too, or Alan Lazard. The connection with Getsy there is interesting with Alan Lazard. Something to keep in mind. All of a sudden, then that receiver group it's not bad at all, to be honest with you. It starts looking like that.
This is from Derek. How low is too low to go? How low? What limbo?
Yeah.
When we're talking trade down. How low is too low to go when we're talking trade down? Personally, I think top 4. But interested to see what you guys think. Love the show. Bear down. Thanks, Derek.
Yeah, I did this on let's see if I still have these notes. I did this last week. I looked at every draft since 2017. So this is where, to me, the answer to that question is number 4. Because if you look at the top non-QBs drafted every year, usually the first one, in every case, the first one, almost every case, the first one is like a legit star. Most years, the second one is also a star, but as soon as you get after that, you are starting to talk about potential busts. So just to go through it real quick, 2022. So last year, right? Trevon Walker, Aiden Hutchinson, both look really good. Then you go to Derek Stingley, and it's more like, eh. And then there's Sauce Gardner, though, who's pretty damn good, already an all-pro. 2021, Kyle Pitts was the first non-QB drafted. Now, that's been a little bit of a tough situation, but I think most people still think Kyle Pitts is pretty good. Right after that was Jamar Chase. That draft was ridiculous because then you start talking about Jalen Waddle, Penei Sewell, Patrick Surtain, Devonta Smith, Micah Parsons. That was a weird.
Now, Micah Parsons was 11.
Yes. Yeah. You're not, and then Rashawn Slater's there too. I mean, that was a loaded draft. I don't think that's this draft. 2020, Chase Young's your top non-QB picked, right? After that, Jeff Okudah, Andrew Thomas. 2019, Nick Bosa, Quinnen Williams at the top. Third, Cleveland Farrell. Not a good pick.
I feel like that's just more Raiders than.
Yeah, maybe. 2018, Saquon Barkley. Then you go down to Denzel Ward, Bradley Chubb, who's obviously okay, but he's already been traded. Quentin Nelson, Roquan Smith down there. 2017, the Mitch Trubisky draft, Myles Garrett at the top. The next pick was Solomon Thomas. You had Leonard Fournette. You had Corey Davis. The point being, I just feel like if you end up getting one of the top 2 non-QBs, chances are the Bears are going to hit a home run. You start drifting back farther than that, you open up yourself to bust. I think you have to be careful.
If I'm the Bears, I'm operating with the mindset that I want Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, or the top offensive tackle on my board.
Yeah.
That's it. I think 4 provides that. I'm not sure if 7 provides that. Like, those are the 2 teams I'm looking at. The Carolina Panthers at 7. No, the Raiders are at 7. Hold on. Carolina Panthers at 9.
Yeah.
That's too far. That might be too far. Although the Carolina Panthers can give you a lot because they have a lot of assets after the Christian McCaffrey trade. But obviously, I think it all starts with the Colts because of the connections with Chris Ballard, because of an owner in Jim Irsay who is tired of the veteran quarterback route. And just look what their top need is. It's quarterback. All right, this is from Voss. What would the reaction be if we sticked and picked at number 1?
Wait, say that again.
This is from Voss. What would the reaction be if the Bears stuck,
Stuck it. Pick
stuck,
it.
stuck,
Flick it.
kept number 1, and used it?
I mean, it would be disappointing, right? You're gonna be drafting the same guy you would have gotten later, but that means that the trade market wasn't there. I think that's why everybody is on board with sort of assuming. I saw Dane Brugler's mock draft. He's checking on the Athletic.
He made the 1-4 flip.
Yeah, he doesn't usually do trades this early, but it's like, I don't know. This is just a year where it seems obvious that the Bears will be looking to trade back. I guess the only scenario to me that plays out is, for whatever reason, these quarterbacks cool off.
They don't, though.
I know they don't. That's why I'm saying it.
The hype machine hasn't even started yet. You haven't had the pro days where you got a guy rolling to his left and he flips his hips and he puts it 70 yards down the field, and all of a sudden Zach Wilson's drafted number 2.
What if there's fear that whoever's trying to trade with you is actually going to take Jalen Carter or Will Anderson?
That's fine. You take your haul and you get your offensive tackle. That's a risk you're willing to take.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if the Bears end up picking at 1 on draft night, to answer that question, I think it's a disappointment. I think fans will be pissed.
Who would you take then? Will Anderson or Jalen Carter?
I'm team Jalen Carter right now, but I admittedly still have to look at these guys a little bit harder, but that's where I am right now. It's close.
We probably have a really good idea of what preference is after free agency as well.
Right. That's going to give us a huge clue how they spend their money in March. We're going to have a much better idea what's happening in April.
All right. Can we move on to the stadium real quick?
Okay.
This is from Fields.
Justin?
Fields? Maybe. Yeah, maybe it was. We'll say this is from Justin Fields. Which stadium was your favorite to visit as a reporter? If you could mash together aspects from your top 3 favorite stadiums and apply them to the Bears' new stadium, what would it be like?
Ooh.
Top 3 stadiums for me.
Yeah.
Minnesota, Green Bay, and Los Angeles.
For
different reasons.
Yeah, my first 2 are definitely the same. Minnesota and Lambeau in that order. Trying to think of number 3. I mean, I like LA, but definitely not the Raiders. That one. We'll keep talking about the aspects of the 3 stadiums and how you would apply them to the Bears.
Green Bay gives you like this unique ambiance. Good luck if you ever wanted to ask George McCaskey about what he likes about Lambeau Field. I don't think he'd even entertain that with the dry.
Well, I know that. I thought he would be willing to compliment the Vikings a little bit.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
Not this NFC North rival. You know, he'll have no joke for you. But the ambiance of Lambeau Field, an old stadium, mind you, that looks freaking fantastic. Looks modern. They still have the bench seats, but like the end zone sections that kind of go straight up, like the extra seats they created, the boxes they created in each end zone. It's a beautiful field. It really is. And for Kevin Warren, I think it's going to be a source of inspiration because of the history of the Bears. You want to still have that nostalgic feeling, right? That's part of the Bears. That's part of their charm, right? One of the original franchises, like the NFL franchise. How do you add that ambiance, that feel to their new stadium? And I think Lambeau, the way they updated an old field, gives you some of that inspiration, gives you some ideas.
Hey, George. Hi, Adam.
You cut that fast.
Kent did it. Some listener was saying that we had to pull that as a drop, so there it is.
Yeah.
Hey, George. Hi, Adam.
Yeah, here's the thing though about what you just said. I don't. How do you do that if you're gonna have a dome? We're going to have a roof. You look at how US Bank Stadium was built. There's nothing necessarily nostalgic about it.
But they weren't replacing a nostalgic place in the Metrodome.
Here's what I'll say about that place, though. They still took, I think this is to your point, they still took aspects that fit the Vikings, right? So there's literally old Norwegian architecture built into this brand new shiny stadium. It looks like a Viking ship from above. Inside, they have the Galler horn. They have the drum with the skull chant. These are all things they didn't really do at the Metrodome. So, to me, it's a different ambiance than Lambeau, but it's still along the same lines of what you're talking about.
Yeah. Kevin Warren was, let me just read you this quote from my story today. What are the attributes of living in Chicago, living in Illinois, that we could tie into it? Warren said. It's not just about picking up US Bank Stadium and dropping it here, but what fits. And what he means by that is the Bears' history, the city of Chicago. Like, for a city that has such a rich history in architecture, I'm with you. He's going to try to implement some of that into that stadium. It's not going to be this ugly spaceship-looking thing like you got in Las Vegas.
Right. You got to have, like, an entrance reminiscent to Superdog. Right? You got to have, like, deep dish pizza in there somehow. Maybe the roof looks
Those
like
will be sections, though.
Maybe the whole roof looks like a pizza, like from above. So when you fly over, instead of it looking like a Viking ship, it just looks like a deep dish pizza.
Save this food conversation for the next question.
Okay.
But can you imagine, like, the pillars of Soldier Field? I mean, obviously, he's not knocking them down and moving that. That's illegal. It's a historical landmark. But building that look.
Yeah, you could work that in there.
Yeah.
It'll probably look better.
What I like about SoFi is you get that amphitheater feel to it.
To that point, about what you just said, though, about bringing elements from Soldier Field, I almost wonder if that crazy video of the redone Soldier Field, if you just steal aspect, they did a good job with it, right? The Veterans Plaza or whatever inside, like, just, steal the stuff from that video.
Yeah, feels a little late.
I was to continue to answer that question, though, because I never gave my third one. I really like Seattle. I really like that stadium, and just it's a different thing, but they did a real good job of, like, with the way the canopies come over the side. It holds in the noise, and it keeps people dry.
To be loud.
They have the 12th man. Same type of thing. There's built-in things that make it unique when you go there. What do the Bears? I'm being serious with this question. What do the Bears have when you're in the game that sets it apart? Like, I'm talking about, like, the skull chant, the 12th man thing. I don't know it really.
There's a first down. Where?
There are not many
on
of them,
the
though.
field. There's a timeout. Sorry, I totally.
There's a timeout.
But my guy retired anyway. There's a
Yeah, he's
timeout.
out there.
Where?
Yeah.
On the field. That's a good point. Like, it's a serious good point. Matt Nagy tried to have the Bear Raid siren. That's gone.
Yeah. They gotta find something like that. Something that separates it. That's what stands out about going to these places, right? Now the Rams one's kind of dumb. Whose house? Rams house, or whatever the hell they say.
Some of them are a lot of teams in a lot of sports have dumb chants.
Well, that's true.
But in terms of, like, the field, Soldier Field, it's the pillars and it's the lakefront.
Yeah. Can't move the lake.
Nope.
That'll be interesting. All right, what's next?
This is from David. What is going to be your answer when Mr. Warren asks you for your one thing you would like changed? Does it involve game day food? Food.
That's an interesting question. I honestly haven't really thought about that because it's not about us.
Yeah, but I'll say this: if the food is good for the media, odds are the food is good for everybody else in the stadium.
Well, is this question about the stadium or is it just in general about the organization?
I think it's the stadium.
Oh, okay.
Game day food. You got one for the organization?
No, I guess that's what I was thinking about. That's why I couldn't. With the stadium, I mean, this is definitely, I guess, selfish because it has to do with the press box. But like, there's just no room in Soldier Field to move around or work, or like we go to all these other stadiums and they're just wide open with eating areas and places to go. It's easier to go podcast when we need to. Workspace, you know what I mean? TVs. Maybe that's the big thing. Can we get TVs that are closer? I don't have to go like this.
I believe it was Atlanta that provided all media members with personal TVs at every single seat.
That's awesome.
That's something. I think it's just from a media standpoint, and I know this only goes so far, but Soldier Field has probably the worst press box in the league in terms of space, in terms of like modern work environments, and just how the things have changed for us.
The view is actually good.
I would actually try to maintain the
That's it.
view because a lot of these other stadiums, like even Minnesota, we're in the corner of the end zone.
Yeah.
Which is okay. It's open. I would want it open. Since it's an enclosed stadium, I would want to be open.
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite things about Detroit, Minnesota.
Yes.
Because
now, Detroit, you're way up there. Way up there.
Yeah, you're actually in Canada.
Yeah, that high up there. You're in Windsor. Different things happen in Windsor. But you're way up there. You got
Sexy.
But you get my point.
Yeah.
It's not going to be end all be all. But if you want to talk about food, I mean, it's Chicago. There should be like a hot dog station, right? With all the Chicago hot dog toppings, right?
Yeah.
Ketchup,
Those are the
mustard,
little
celery
touches.
sauce. Yes, those are the little things. Like there's an omelet bar in Minneapolis every morning.
Yeah.
Every morning. I don't even want to tell you what Dallas provides you. It's like one of the best meals you ever have in your life.
Yeah. And there's like the candy bar and the beer in the press box.
Yeah. Beer in the press box.
We need beer post game beer.
Some teams do that. But this is like I do think this affects the view of your team from like the national side. You know how Bears Twitter doesn't like the national perspective on the Bears? Well, you know what? What they're getting from the team, not only in like access, but in like the game day operation of things, which includes food, which includes entry and exits of the building, that plays a role in at least the mood and the outlook from that reporter, whether it's the broadcast team, whether it's the national insider that drops in for a story, that affects them.
Here's some insight I have from over the years from the TV side. I don't know if they fixed this. I don't think they have because Soldier Field was just built the way it is. But I've been told in the past that the camera spots in the stadium are different, like compared to where they usually are when you watch a game, like where they put that camera in the upper deck or whatever. Because there's usually like, if you watch a football game, there's the 50-yard line, and I think each 25 or 30. And like as they march down the field, they move that camera.
Yeah.
They don't move the camera, but they move the shot on what you're watching. And Soldier Field's angles it's a long way of me saying the TV networks don't necessarily like coming to Soldier Field. It's complicated. You ever notice how many times the Packers are on NBC on Sunday Night Football? They love going to Lambeau. There's just little stuff like that baked into the whole equation that matter.
Yeah.
And it's not, some of it has to do with the press box and your amenities once you get there, but there's literally logistical things that impact you when your team is on national television.
Yeah. And that's about the consumer. That's how fans consume the product, right? And I think Kevin Warren is going to think of every little thing. Like, here's another example of Soldier Field. I don't know if everybody knows this, but in most cases, the press box includes, the TV broadcast for both teams, the radio broadcast, the international broadcast. We're all together in the same box, have you? But not at Soldier Field. They're on the other side
of the stadium.
And
that's
underneath.
That's the only stadium I can think of that's like that.
Yes. Talk to some of these radio play-by-play guys. They can't see kicks.
Yeah.
And they go in the air. It's a nightmare. So it affects your experience at home when they're calling things. It affects the broadcast because they can't see things. Here's another thing, Adam.
You know what's weird though? Paul Allen, the Vikings play-by-play guy, weirdly likes it.
Does he?
He thinks the view, because they're so close down to the field, and it is one of the closer views you can get. He likes where those broadcast booths are.
Okay.
I don't know.
Here's another thing. The all 22.
Yes.
So if you're going to be Kevin Warren, you're taking insight from everybody. If you've seen the film, I think many of us have seen the film of the Soldier Field all 22. It's not really like an all 22. Sometimes the sideline view is like an all 19.
I feel like they fixed this. I'm not sure.
Yeah. But it
was
could be
so
better.
Low. Yeah.
It could be better. So from a football standpoint, from a football coaching standpoint, it can improve in terms of what sight lines you provide your team so they could fix their own problems with their tape.
Let me pull up. I actually have the 49ers game right here. They have fixed this. They got it higher.
But it has been a problem.
Yeah, no, it was a problem in the past, though. Like, it was, like, really low and hard to watch. They've actually, the league must have said, yo, you got to fix this.
You know who was complaining about
camera
that
angles
was the Pace Nagy era.
Like, the Bears. You're saying the Bears employees.
The Bears, yes.
Yeah. No, it's much better now, so at least they got that. But, you know how when the Bears play the Packers, it's almost always a night game in Green Bay and never in Chicago? Think about what I just said a few minutes ago. That seems like a scheduling imbalance, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Every time the Packers come to Chicago, it gets to be a noon game. Every time the Bears go to Green Bay, it's a night game. And just saying,
night games bring out a little bit more different energy.
You got to think about stuff like that. All right. What else
From
we
Bob
got?
Dabrowski. I like this one. From Bob.
Bob?
Bobo.
Bob gets a question in here?
If the city went to the Bears tomorrow.
Who cares?
Not that one. If the city went to the Bears tomorrow and said, okay, we'll sell you Soldier Field, land from the museum to McCormick Place for $2 billion, what do the Bears do? Well,
So
for starters, this is a conversation they can't have yet until things sort themselves out. Have some finality with
For
Churchill.
$2 billion?
You get the stadium, though.
Who wants the stadium? Want to knock down the stadium?
Well, now you could use their plans. But this is what the Bears want, right? This is why I like this question.
Isn't Arlington like $100 million or something?
Just the land, yeah. Yeah, but you got to rebuild everything. At least you have something to start with here. Just entertain the idea, Adam Hoge.
I mean, that's just too expensive.
Well, I think
The
what I
math
like
doesn't
about
work.
this question is the idea of it, because that's what the Bears want. They want their own place. Is there land in the city of Chicago where that could be provided?
Yeah. I do think that there is. I still think Arlington Heights is the most logical and likely scenario that's still playing out here. But if there is any Hail Mary out there for the lakefront, Kevin Warren's the guy that will find it. He can't right now until they close on this Arlington land, until they own that land. Then they can do whatever the hell they want. But, I still think it's the cost of that land. It's ridiculous compared to what they can get in Arlington, which will be more land, way more land.
If you're watching on YouTube right now, Kent is playing the video that the city sent to reporters at 5 a.m. During the last game of the year about modernizing Soldier Field and creating an entertainment district down there. Great idea.
Yeah, cool. Guess who they didn't send it to?
The Bears?
Me.
You?
I think anybody who's listened to the show over the years knows how big of a stadium nerd I am, just like Kevin Warren. It's just, I laughed that, I didn't get this video.
You didn't get it?
I saw it after the game that day. It was going
5
around.
a.m. I mean, it's fantastic. If you're watching right now on YouTube, this is fantastic. It really is.
Oh, if they can build this, I'm all in. Without a doubt.
But do the Bears own it? Like, do they get, what do you give the Bears? Like, what type of ownership stake?
All of it.
Well, I would hope so, but it belongs to the city of Chicago.
Well, if you want to keep the Bears, you got to give
Sell the
something up,
stadium.
man.
Yeah, sell the
I
stadium.
mean, it's just like anything else. It's a business deal. And how bad do you want to keep the Bears?
You see that Press Box Sports Bar?
Looks cool.
It does.
Wait, there's a bar in the press box?
It didn't look like it was in the press box, maybe across the street, but
Yeah.
if it stays open at 3 a.m., you may get a lot of local writers coming in there.
All right. Was Bob the last question?
There's a personal one here.
Ooh, a personal one.
Yeah, we'll end with this. Chicago Bears collector. When are we going on our next vacation photo with Hoge Jahns snackback hats?
Ooh.
Waiting for you. He also needs a vacation as well.
Yes.
You're the one who did this.
Yeah, well, you did it too, though.
It's true.
I regret to inform everyone, especially my wife, that do not have a vacation planned. The closest thing to a vacation is a work trip in March. So I don't know if that's happening. I mean, we went to Paris a few weeks. I should have done one in Paris. It was a big fail by me.
International.
I had the Hoge Jahns winter hat too with me. I wore it around Paris. Big fail by me not to do a photo.
Epic fail by you.
I almost feel like I did. Now I think about it. I mean, look, there's a lot of wine being drank on that trip, so might have to go through my photos. We need to make picks too.
Oh, yeah. Go fast?
Yeah. I adjusted some of your lines, by the way, because I think they changed overnight. I don't know when you put them in. But anyway, let's do these real quick. Then we'll get out of here. But it's going to be a great weekend of football, I think. Saturday, kicking things off at 3:30 on NBC. Jaguars at Chiefs. The Chiefs are 8.5-point favorite.
Chiefs by 10.
Okay.
If not more.
So the last time these teams played, it was a 10-point game, I think. And I think the Jags are better now. And the Chiefs are kind of weird. They don't blow teams out when they're home favorites as much as they should. So I think the Chiefs win this game. I got the Jaguars covering them.
All right.
Culture, history, spaghetti. These are the things of a boot country called Italia. Hello, I'm Joe Romano of Romano Tours. For 2 generations, my family has provided high-quality tours of Italy to people from all over the world, but mostly Long Island and Jersey.
Fox, 7:15, Giants at Eagles. Eagles are 7.5-point favorite at home.
I love a good rivalry game. You think Jalen Hurts is going to be rusty?
Maybe. So speaking of Paris, this was the game I watched on my way home on the flight, and it was a blowout. It wasn't even close. The Eagles were just running up and down the field. And I can't get that out of my head. And then I'm like, well, wait a minute. That was just one game. It was a while ago. And the Giants are playing pretty good. If Daniel Jones plays like he did last week,
Yeah.
this is going to be a close game. So I think the Eagles win, but I think the Giants cover.
Yeah. I can't go with the upset. I'm with you. Giants cover, Eagles win. Just the more talented team on both sides of the ball. And I think Hurts by the end of the day makes more plays than Daniel Jones.
Y'all stay corona free, all right? And God bless.
All right, moving to Sunday, CBS, 2 p.m. Bengals at Bills. This is a great game. They never finished the game, obviously, a few weeks ago on Monday Night Football. This one's in Buffalo. I am a little surprised at this spread. It is a 5-point spread. I think this was 2.5. Bills being favored when it was in Cincinnati a few weeks ago. So maybe that makes sense that it's up to 5, but I see two teams that are trending in different directions. If you've really, and I've watched a lot of these teams the last couple weeks, couple months, quite frankly. The Bengals, I think, have quietly been maybe the best team. They beat the Chiefs. They've been on this big run. They're playing great football. They have Joe Burrow, who rises to the occasion in the playoffs. The Bills were sloppy as hell last week, and it wasn't just last week. They didn't play well against the Bears. They almost lost to the Dolphins. I think the Bengals not only cover the 5, I think they win this outright.
I'm picking the Bengals as well. I get they didn't play great against the Ravens. Like they needed an amazing defensive touchdown, right? I understand that. But there's just something about Joe Burrow. You kind of hinted at it. Like if I always go to the quarterbacks on these picks. I'm taking Joe Burrow over Josh Allen in this one. I just am.
Josh Allen's been just giving the ball away like crazy.
Yeah.
What does he have, 30 giveaways this year?
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
The red zone. Did you say the red zone?
No, I think that's overall 30. You combine his.
No, yeah. But a lot of them are in the red zone.
Yeah, a lot of them are in the red zone. You know, look, the Ravens last week, that's a tough matchup. It's a division rival. The Ravens have a good defense. And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Joe Burrow turned the ball over last week.
No.
Yeah, I like the Bengals.
Me too.
All right, Fox 5:30, Cowboys at 49ers. I love an old school. We got this last year too. Give me Cowboys and 49ers in the playoffs. Just makes me feel like the 90s again.
Did you see all the clips already on like ESPN already?
Oh, I love it. Peter Schrager did this amazing piece last year when these teams played in the playoffs, and I retweeted it the other day because it's just the nostalgia is great. And the game last year was decent. It was close. 49ers won. They are a 3.5-point favorite in this one game being played, of course, in San Francisco.
Give me the 49ers. And can I ask for this on Twitter? When Brock Purdy has a good game, don't ask why Justin Fields can't do the same. I understand the question. I do. But Justin Fields doesn't have Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, who is just a fantastic playmaker, Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah.
And those are some exceptional weapons. Trent Williams at left tackle. He doesn't have that offensive line. If anything, Brock Purdy is the best example. Like the quarterback success in San Francisco is the best example about how the help can actually raise the success of the quarterback. Give me the 49ers.
I am also going with the 49ers. Cowboys were really impressive the other night. But we know better on this show. You can't go in a game like this with your kicker missing 4 straight extra points. Come on now. You're asking me Robbie Gold or Brent Maher? That's his name, right? Brent Maher? Mayer? Whatever, man. You don't get to miss 4 extra points and then have me pronounce your name correctly.
Yeah, you're mean.
Maher.
Special teams coordinator, everybody.
Kent's probably mad right now.
Tough love. Sorry, Ken. Ken, who do you think's going to win?
Dallas. He's going
Oh,
Dallas.
see
I
it
don't think
in the
I don't think he
comments.
can flip his video on that quick. He's going Dallas.
He's going Dallas.
Better quarterback. Oh man.
I could see it right now. Just a quick digger out to Deebo Samuel that he just takes to the house for 75 yards.
Yeah.
Little play action, quick little pass, one broken tackle, and gone.
All right.
49ers.
There you go. It should be a fun weekend of football. We will be back on Tuesday next week. We'll talk about everything that happened, see if there's any other news coming down. It's the NFL. There's still things happening all the time. And maybe it'll quiet down for the Bears here a little bit, but we'll have to wait and see. So in the meantime, make sure you're following us on Twitter at Adam Hoge, at Adam Jahns. Read all our coverage. Johnsy's on The Athletic. I'm at allchgo.com. Plenty to check out there. And Dane Brugler's mock draft that I mentioned earlier, too, is also up on The Athletic. Check that out. And obbyshirts.com, all the merch. We are out of here. Have a good weekend, everyone. Enjoy the games, and we'll talk to you next week.
See ya.